Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm your host, I'm David Almeida. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I sit down with an actor or artist friend. We watch an episode of the classic sitcom The Facts of Life, and then I hit record and we synopsize the show, talk about anything and everything it might make us think to discuss, and basically just babble on for about an hour or so. My guest this week is J.W. Moore. JW is, like so many of the other guests I've had on the show, he is an actor, he is a singer, he is a comedic actor, he's an improviser, he does it all, and also a somewhat former child star, has some early credits from his tween years that we do discuss, and he's also an avid, and some might say obsessive, video game enthusiast. There is talk a little bit about video games at the beginning of the show, but we really don't get into the depths of how into gaming he is, nor did we even discuss his obsession with cats. I think at one time he said he had in the teens, like 18 or 19 cats at his house. Anyway, the good thing is I plan to have him back on the show, and we will absolutely discuss those things next time. But for now, we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 19. It's called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and the original air date was March 9th of 1983. That's it. I think we're ready to jump in. Let's face the facts with J.W. Moore. Welcome, J.W. Moore.
Hi!
We are broadcasting from Sleuth's Mystery Dinner Theater.
Theater 3.
Theater 3. Typically,
Yes.
we're in Theater 1.
Yes.
But they have 2 shows running tonight because business is good.
That's right. Good for us.
And we are in one of those shows, and I thought, let's do a little double dipping at one of my places of work.
Good to double dip at work.
And yes. So thank you so much for being here, for showing up early. And we just
I have no life, so.
And I knew
early.
that, so
Yeah.
I figured as much. Now, we have just watched Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Yes.
Original.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in French.
In French, yeah. And we, this original air date was March 9th of 1983. And you were how old in 1983?
I was -4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's right. You're a young person.
I'm 32.
I forgot that's why I hate you.
Yes. And I try to look in my 20s.
And so
Bathe in the blood of my enemies.
you keep working at that.
Thanks.
So as a young-ish person,
Yep.
You did not grow up with this in the first run. Did you experience, do you have any relationship with The Facts of Life?
I have no relationship with The Facts of Life. I don't know. It just never struck my fancy, so to say.
Did you at least know it existed? Like
Oh
on
yeah,
Nick
I
at
knew it
Night?
existed. I actually knew the theme song.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Everybody knows the theme song.
Well, yes, because I used to have a DJ/karaoke business, and when people get drunk enough, I'd play Name That Tune, and that was on my compact disc for those of you.
Compact.
Compact
so cute.
discs. Yep.
Yeah, we had to get rid of the singles and move on to the.
Yes.
everything. Did you have those? Because they had little disc singles too, didn't they? That were like that
They
big.
had like 3 or 4 songs on it. That was in like
CD singles.
CD singles. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And and then there was I remember the big floppy discs.
Oh yeah, I do too. The 5
I had
1/4.
Doom on that one.
5 1/4 inch floppy. That's the one thing. It's so funny how things change and evolve. They get better, but you lose something.
Yep.
When we went to compact discs, I was like, I miss cassette tapes because I didn't have to put a cassette into a case.
Take a pencil in there and rewind it.
Yeah, but for the most, I mean, it was for the most part protected. You could take
Yes.
a cassette loose and throw it in the backseat of your car, and not think it's going to get scratched. And
Same thing with not only music, but other forms of media. Like I'm a video game collector, and I still have my original Nintendo Entertainment System. Mm-hmm. I'm on my 3rd Xbox 360 and my 2nd Xbox One.
Wow.
It's the older stuff, like cartridges. Like you can throw like Super Mario Brothers off the top of a roof, and it will shatter into a million pieces. But as long as the board is still intact, it'll still work.
Yeah, in my day was Atari 2600.
I had that.
But it was the same thing of
Yeah.
the cartridges on. Now everything's on
Yar's
CDs.
Revenge is my favorite for that game.
Yar's Revenge.
Yar's Revenge. You have to use your imagination. It came with a comic book. Do you remember it came with a comic book?
I don't remember it that well.
Adventure.
When I
You played Adventure, that haven't you?
Oh God, yeah, that.
Oh, yeah.
remember. Yeah, and then
With the ducks
and
slash dragons.
I bought ET.
Yep.
I was one of the people that paid for it.
I've beaten E.T. I have suffered through that game.
Well, this episode that we watched was directed by Asad Khalada.
Uh-huh.
He directed most of the episodes of The Facts of Life over its run, and he directed all of the episodes in this season. We are in season 4 right now. And the writers were Deidre Fay and Stuart Wolpert. They are longtime writers of the show. I don't know if they were in season 1. I think they came in season 2. But they are ones who also worked in the Susan Harris vein. I think they worked on Soap and Benson.
Yeah.
And so they are actually, they're certainly veteran sitcom writers, and they've written many Facts of Lives as well.
Yeah, they went for it.
This
They went for it in this one.
and-
Slavery.
and,
Yay!
yeah, and not their strongest episode.
No, as soon as
But there are some interesting things happening that are
Yeah.
interesting. Not so much what's happening in the show.
just right out the gate. Buy me, make me your slave.
Yeah. Well,
They're saying that to Tootie.
Exactly. Well, let's go there right out. Our first scene begins in the girls' bedroom.
Yeah.
They are in their, they're getting ready for bed.
They're in their 90s
And Natalie is begging Tootie to buy her, to purchase her.
to be her slave.
And yeah, and it's
And then
as soon as it was said, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was like, what?
Exactly. It's like, huh?
And then they had to, they gave Tootie a joke and be like, oh, my people are not a fan of slavery. Laugh track. I'm like, that is, I wouldn't laugh at that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing she says.
Right.
It's like, I'm on your side. Honestly, not my favorite thing either. I'm gonna go on record saying that, JW.
Yeah.
But yeah, very weird. But the thing is, this is one of the subplots here where Natalie, because she is afraid there are underclassmen who have it out for her for various infractions, Natalie as a junior and Tootie as a sophomore positions them that Tootie as an underclassman can pay money which goes to charity for kids,
For the kids.
for Christmas gifts for kids, underprivileged children, and then Natalie is her slave for the day. And
Was it the day, or I think it was the whole week?
Oh, it would have to be the week.
It was the whole
because the
week,
show
yeah.
takes place over the course of a week.
Right, yeah, so it was the whole week.
Well, the show takes place over the course of, I think, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
3 days, 4 days. And, so with some coercion, Tootie finally agrees.
Yes.
And Natalie is very happy, but Tootie is just not into it. And she's like, I'm not going to make you do anything.
Right.
Whatever.
Because, she has her reasons.
Yeah.
They're very valid reasons.
Very, very true, yeah. And clearly not interested in payback.
Nope.
So we have to talk about the fashion, of course, on this show.
Oh, yes.
Always. Tootie is wearing a grandma nightgown with a lot of lace and a lot of flannel.
Yes.
Natalie is in a plaid flannel nightshirt. Joe is on the bed in her man pajamas like she usually wears, and she's lacing up her shoes. It's
Like
apparently
lesbians do.
it's a project to lace up your shoes that takes up some time. You
right.
have to
You gotta
lay down on the
lace
bed
them up.
and do
Before
that,
you go to bed, you got to lace them up.
Yeah. And Blair is in some blue silky PJs.
And her curlers.
And she's putting rollers in her hair, yeah. You know what's funny though?
What?
We were talking about Slave Week,
Yes,
whatever.
Slave Week.
But they do say, she does call it Slave Day. They do set this up as a day.
Right,
and
but
you
it
are right
takes
that they
place.
didn't.
That's a little serious plot hole right
Oh,
there.
wait a minute. Wait a
What?
minute. This is 3 days before. You know what it is?
Oh.
Tootie is prepping Natalie because the day coming up
Oh, I see.
happens to fall on the same day as the visitors.
Gotcha.
Okay. Speaking of visitors, we didn't talk about the title. Guess who's coming to dinner? You, of course, know what that refers to.
Oh, yes. It's Sidney Poitier. Then
It
they
was-
did an awful remake with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, it was a play originally,
Yeah.
but then the film happened at the right time when Poitier was at
Yeah.
the height of his fame.
Right.
And they did it, but it was about an older white couple and their white daughter bringing home a black man
Very black.
as her fiancé.
African-American.
Because they talk about the charity it's going for. It's going for underprivileged kids to
Right.
get Christmas presents. This is March. Mm-hmm. This show was filmed in mid-January.
Yes.
So why were they still thinking, Chris, like if this were happening
Planning
later in the
ahead.
year?
They're planning ahead.
I guess they are.
Yes.
But I have a listener, Harvey H is his name, and
Okay.
he sent me a list. He has an extensive profile and many, many posts at a place I was not aware of called Sitcoms Online, and I haven't really explored it. But Harvey sent me a complete list of all the dates of production and the dates of broadcast for every episode, because they didn't always do them in order.
Right.
If you go to the Wikipedia page, there is a production code
Yeah.
that reveals the order in which they were made, but it doesn't say the actual date of
when they filmed it.
taping. So this is a new worlds have been opened to me, and thank you, thank you for that, Harvey. I look forward to continuing to look at the other stuff you've posted there. So finally, Tootie agrees, and
then we move on to another plot of Blair
where
wanting to sleep with an open window.
the moon is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, and the fresh air, and apparently it's a cold night because Joe is not having it
Yeah. So Blair,
because it's next to her bed.
right? So Blair insists, please. So they swap beds. Bow chicka bow bow. That's one step.
Joe's been waiting to do that for a while.
Trying to get in Blair's bed
Yeah.
a little bit differently. But so they switch beds so Blair can admire the moon and
Yes.
sleep by the open window. And so we have this little strain of a plot going on.
Yeah.
And then
The consequence of leaving that window open at night.
it will come back to haunt us.
Yes.
All of these plot lines will be coming back.
Yes.
And then Mrs. Garrett comes in, and she's got what I presume is a telegram. It's got it looks more telegrammy
Yes,
than,
it's a
than
very
a letter.
telegramish.
Well, it turns out Chef Antoine, whom we met in Paris when The Facts of Life went to Paris
Mm-hmm.
in a TV movie called The Facts of Life Goes to Paris.
Oh, really?
Mrs. Garrett studied at a French cooking school,
Uh-huh.
and this guy was a total fucking dickball to her.
Well, he was French.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she comes in and she's like, I'm so excited he's coming. And the girls are like, wasn't he a total asshole,
Yeah.
shitbag, dickbag
Right,
to
like
you?
because she says that he's looking forward to her cooking, and then they remind her like, well, didn't he say that you would never amount to anything and your cooking is crap?
And you were incompetent, and
Right.
didn't he try to get you thrown out of the school?
Yeah,
And
and she
Mrs.
goes, "Oh,
Garrett,
yeah."
And Mrs. Garrett, in one of those moments of a sitcom character being conveniently beyond stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Girl.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, when you're ready, if you are inspired, everybody is welcome to join me with my bad Mrs. Garrett impression. You may record.
Girls,
There-
girls.
Hey, there it is. So I have to point out, this is extremely structurally unusual.
Yeah.
That we have not got. This is still in the time when there weren't even A story, B story.
Right.
Facts of Life is typically one plot, everyone's involved.
Yes, this
for
is
the
like
entire.
three going on
This
at the
is
same time.
three.
Yeah, three plots going on at the
Three
same
plots
time.
that do intertwine.
Yes.
Not quite to Seinfeldian success levels.
Right.
But it was really shocking when I knew what the episode was about. Mm-hmm. So when Mrs. Garrett came in with the telegram, I was like, oh my God, we've set up a lot of shit
A lot
here.
of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going to be going down this episode.
Yeah. So,
But then when she leaves and they all turn off the lights,
yes. Well, Mrs. Garrett leaves because she's got to figure out what she's going to make for
Right.
him when he comes, when Chef Antoine arrives. So, yes.
not going to cook anything she can't spell.
Bouillabaisse. And so she's off to plan the dinner, and then what happens?
And then Tootie goes to turn off the light. They all get into bed, and then Natalie sees something scurry off of her bed onto the floor and goes up on the top bunk with Tootie. And,
Tootie.
And they turn the lights on. They can't see anything. And they turn the lights back off. And then Blair starts laughing because she thinks Joe's tickling her feet.
She's hoping.
She's right. She's hoping she's tickling her feet. And then come to find out there's a squirrel that is loose inside.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's now. So now we have that's what the open window has led us to. Is now we have a squirrel, and that
Yes.
squirrel is going to come back into play. Mm-hmm. And yes. So at one point, I do have to point out, Natalie says something just crawled up my leg, and Tootie says, huh, "Wishful thinking."
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa,
Wow.
That's a pretty
Get
racy
it.
line for this girls. These are 4 young virgins.
Yeah, right?
And I just want to point that out right there. Natalie climbing into the top bunk with Tootie, Joe and Blair swapping beds.
Swapping
like
beds,
that.
yeah.
It's like
Blair's perfumed comforter.
There were teenage boys.
Oh, yes.
Rubbing it out to this.
Yes, there was a lot of crusty napkins on the floor.
So, the scene ends with a scream regarding that we actually have a real live squirrel.
And then it cuts straight to the next day with I'm like, what just happened?
What happened? Exactly.
What just happened? The cut from that. It was just like, they're all screaming because there's a squirrel loose, and then it's the next day, and Blair's got her hair down, everything's dressed. I'm just like, what is going on? Is this a different actress? No, it's the same one. Because I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, the scene ends like that without any sort of a resolution.
No.
But this is just, the show has just only begun to get weird. So then we're in the cafeteria. It is a school day. They're in their uniforms. We don't have to criticize their clothing this time.
Yes.
Mrs. Garrett is planning. She's thrilled. She's happy that Blair is going to be on hand because Blair speaks French, since Blair is rich and all rich people speak French.
Of course.
And at one point, Joe says to Blair, like, how come you're so happy? We were up all night trying to find that squirrel. Trying to find
the squirrel.
The squirrel.
In that little room.
So the squirrel did not manage to find its way out the window again. Did it hide in like a mouse hole? A squirrel?
I've had a squirrel loose in my house because I have cats and they bring in stuff.
It's
not even like, where did it go? It was just like, there's a squirrel.
Here.
And then the next day.
But Joe says, and I specifically wrote down, trying to find
that
squirrel.
So they were up all night trying to find this thing.
It's like,
and Blair looks like she got 12 hours of sleep.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not a mouse. They're treating it like it's a
like
little
a
rodent that could have crawled into a hole.
Granted, it's probably not a big squirrel.
Or hidden somewhere, but with that big bushy tail.
Oh, yeah.
And for how panicked squirrels get and run around and freak out.
They're not quiet.
Yeah, no. It's just, it's
and they
very odd.
They make that little chirpy sound, too, when they get...
Yeah, that sort of noise, But it's just, it is a little bit on the illogical side that they were up all night looking for a squirrel in a room, not up in the attic, not somewhere in the house.
Not going throughout the whole place.
Yeah,
No, they were
in our
that
9-foot by 12-foot room with 4 beds
with the closed door and the open window.
And the squirrel wasn't smart enough to find its way back out.
Right.
Is a little bit perturbing from a writing standpoint.
Yeah.
But,
and then...
Tootie and Natalie come in.
Yeah.
And someone actually, I think it's Joe, says, how's slavitude going?
Yeah. Cue the laugh track.
Slavitude. What a great word.
I love slavitude.
What a great word play with slavery.
It's like an attitude of slaves.
Yeah.
Slavitude.
Well, Natalie's happy because at the very least, Tootie is letting her carry her books.
Yes.
Because apparently...
That's what they did back then, was they carried the master's books.
So I think we're back to... This is the next day, and we're in slave mode.
Yeah,
but this
full
is still
on slave mode.
This is still not the day. Right, this is not the day the people arrive for.
Yes,
that Chef Antoine arrives. So we are back to this episode fucked up. They referred to a slave day, and it is clearly multiple days.
Right, it's slave fortnight.
Slave. Wow. So So Natalie is like, Tootie, please let me do something to make it feel like this is worth your while since you did me this favor. And Tootie's like, I guess...
Clearly not a fan of being the slave master.
No. And so she says, I don't know, one of my dresser drawers, you could reorganize
reorganize that.
And Natalie is so happy, and she says, yes, Tootie. And Tootie, as a joke, says, that's yes, Tootie, ma'am.
Yeah.
And then Natalie's response... What a
pistol.
The middle-aged vaudevillian writers in that writer's room.
What a pistol.
What a pistol. Yeah, because that's what a 16-year-old teenager in 1983 said. Jesus. Anyway. Bad language choice. Anyhow, Joe is making a list, and Tootie is like, wait a minute, what the fuck is that? And Joe is like, I'm going to build a trap for our squirrel friend.
Yeah, not to trap it.
Yeah.
Not to trap it, though.
No, she wants
it dead.
Blood.
She wants it dead.
So Tootie's like, you can't hurt that squirrel. And Joe's like, he's on my turf. He's dead meat.
Yeah.
End of scene. And then we dissolve to the cafeteria again. And, I had 3 days in my head because Joe now shows up with a squirrel trap that she has built, and she says it took me 2 days to make this.
Right. So this is 2 days after that. So the squirrel came in 4 days ago, basically.
No, 3.
3 days. Yeah, 3 days ago.
3 days.
That night, and then it's been 2 days for Joe to make the trap. And the trap it's like she shows what's going to happen to this squirrel, and it is violent.
It is.
I was appalled that they would show how they were going to murder this woodland creature on national television.
Well, I think the idea was that it was never going to come to be. It was never going to happen.
But you see this board, this 1x4, come down and just splatter the squirrel when it gets the cheese.
Yeah, that she's going to. Do squirrels eat cheese? I guess.
No, they eat nuts.
I mean, but they're rodents like rats. They're related to. But I just want to point out, you may not know this, JW. Last week, Joe wanted to be a nun.
Okay.
Just want to say that.
All right.
Last week, Joe suddenly had this religious awakening and decided she wanted to enter a convent. And now this week, she's like, I'm going to fucking crush this squirrel's bones.
That escalated quickly.
And feast on its blood.
Really got out of hand fast.
Exactly. So, character consistency, this is more Joe than becoming a nun.
Yeah.
Just saying. So we've got also going on in this scene, Mrs. Garrett is planning and she's got the table set.
Right.
She's got everything. She's got little French flags, and she's singing the Marseillaise.
Mm-hmm. Just in the French national anthem.
Exactly. And she's doing a terrible
pronunciation.
French with it, and singing badly as well as butchering the French of it. But for those who don't know what the Marseillaise is, shall we? So Joe, by the way, we're back in street clothes now.
Yes.
So I don't even know what the fuck day of the week it is.
No, this is 3 weeks later.
But it's not.
It's not though.
But the thing is, okay, wait a minute. Okay. First night, they were getting ready for bed.
Right.
So it was a school night.
It was a school night.
They had been at school. So this is now 2 days later. So this is clearly a Saturday or a Sunday.
Well, this is the I don't know if it took Joe 2 days to make the trap. Was it like 1 day to make it, and then the second day she finished it, or did it take her 2 days and then she finished it on the third? We don't know.
I don't. Yeah.
We need timestamps for this show.
We do. But the thing is, they're in street clothes for this.
So it's a
this
weekend.
is clearly on a weekend. Now, we've talked many, many, many times about, do they not have to serve food to the rest of the school?
No.
We're doing this special dinner, so therefore no one at Eastland eats. There's no
it's just
them. Typical busy work. So Joe is wearing a outfit we've seen before. It is an olive green T-shirt and her camouflage overshirt,
like a good old lesbian does.
She is. It's pretty dykey. Not gonna lie. Anyhow, as soon as Natalie shows up, Natalie comes in and says, "Hide me before Tootie finds me." And unfortunately, Tootie finds her and asks, "Did you darn my socks?" Thank God we did have Natalie to be the voice of reason and say, it's the 20th century. Does anybody darn socks?
I thought you said dye socks.
No, darn.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what it is to darn a sock?
I don't know what it. I don't know. I've heard of darn socks, but I don't.
It's basically sewing.
Oh.
It's patching, but because socks have a stretchy weave, they're like a light knit to them. Darning is the term for repairing.
Gotcha.
a knit.
I
sock.
thought she was wanting to dye the socks. I'm like,
No.
a good tie dye sock is.
But yeah. So Natalie is. So correctly, Natalie does call out Tootie for, you do realize darning socks is not really a thing, and it hasn't been for the better part of 80 years.
Right.
And it seems that because Natalie was trying to hide from Tootie, Tootie's been taking on this, for lack of a better term, master role a little too seriously.
Yeah.
Natalie full out complains and says, okay, this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, and apparently Tootie's getting drunk with power.
Yeah. And so the scene escalates.
So she likes being a slave master.
So this whole thing escalates into big fighting and noise. Well, she said this or she is not. Blah, 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 and it builds.
Girls!
It builds to a crescendo, and in comes Chef Antoine.
Yep.
And an entourage.
Yes, right.
And Mrs. Garrett's
plus
like,
3.
what the fuck are you doing here so early? I'm paraphrasing. And who the fuck are these people?
Right.
And
that she actually said.
yeah, and I've got to say, this I thought was very funny when he says, this is my wife, Marie, Oh, he says, this is my charming wife, Marie. And she goes to shake Marie's hand, and Marie, stone-faced, does not crack a smile. But she's introduced as his charming wife, which is
and
funny.
then she kind of like takes it back.
And pulls the hand away. And he says, this is my little brother, Lou. His little brother is, I think, 6'4". He's a very tall man.
Right.
So it's like, okay, we've got two little ironic humor moments here. And then
Antoine's older.
Who is the other woman?
That was his mother.
It was his mother?
Yeah.
I thought he said it's like my mommy.
It's something like that. Yeah,
He said something like mommy or mommy. He didn't say my mother.
Right.
So he did say, and I had to go back, and I couldn't quite, but okay.
That was his mom.
Gathered. So this
That
is
was
my mother.
His female parental unit.
Yeah, Madame Rousseau. And all three of them are just humorless.
Yep.
Stone-faced and clearly not
Cybermen.
happy to be there. Mrs. Garrett's like, well, I didn't know there'd be some, but I prepared the boeuf bourguignon just the way you do.
Right.
And he says, oh, and she makes a chopping
Yeah, she
motion.
makes it just the way you do.
Chopping, just the way you do. And it's like,
That's not how Julia Child does it.
but boeuf bourguignon, I mean, you do have to cut things to
Right.
make boeuf bourguignon.
But
It's not like ratatouille.
Right.
Ratatouille is like all about the cutting.
Yeah.
And so it was just a really weird thing. Here's the other question before we continue.
Yeah.
Why would she make French food? I thought this at this point.
Yeah.
We're about to have a moment happen. But
Right.
my first thought was, he's coming in from France.
Right.
He was your teacher. Why are you so up in arms and nervous about preparing French food for the French man who's going to be on your turf?
Yeah,
Why
make
don't you
something-
make him your strudel if you haven't already back in France?
Right.
And I don't mean that as a euphemism. But it's like, why don't you make him something from Appleton, Wisconsin, one of your grandmother's recipes?
Make him a
something-
cheeseburger.
Exactly. Make him something American that's memorable and say, okay, you need to have some
Give
of
him
our
a
food.
pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Pizza.
What's more American than that?
More American than pizza. A hot dog. But as I was thinking this, she says, well, I prepared it just the way you like. And he says, like the little fucking asshole that he is. He
I wanted
says,
to
well,
punch him in the nards.
at least I won't have to eat it.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, Homo says what? And he says he's going into Manhattan to enjoy some of the fine restaurants since he's only here in the country for a few days. And I'm like, yeah, I would too.
Yeah, exactly. But
Might have telegrammed that
But
ahead.
then he drops off his entourage, his brother, his wife, and his mother
And
to
says,
stay there.
Yeah, I'm not going to have your, but they are.
Right.
It's like, what? Why would
I'm on holiday, but I'm not going to spend my holiday with these
my family?
soulless individuals.
And I'm dumping them off on you. It's like, ooh, and the thing that's killing me about this episode, writing-wise, is that at the end, his only comeuppance is that
the train or the subway or whatever broke down.
Yeah.
And by the time he got there, he'd turn around and come back. So he didn't get to experience it.
Yeah, he doesn't he doesn't get to experience the food, but he doesn't get a comeuppance for being a fucking dick.
Of course not.
I really wish the squirrel had like scratched his eye out and given him rabies. That would have been good. But we are getting far ahead of ourselves.
Oh, we are. We kind of jumped ahead a few
No,
scenes.
that's fine. That's fine. So yes, that's what happens. And so they try to entertain these three people, and it's not three nice, pleasant foreign people who are happy to be here and, oh, thank you, and we're at least being gracious or acting gracious and deferential since you're being kind enough. They're just like, well, what the fuck is this?
And then the older brother just says yes to everything.
And so realizing she's saddled with these people, they don't understand any English.
Yes.
And she has to feed dinner to them, and Chef Antoine is a fucking dickbag.
Yes.
Mrs. Garrett just collapses into the chair. And what is she going to do? And that's where the commercial break happens. Now, JW.
Yes, David.
On commercial, I like to take a little getting to know you moment
Getting
to talk to
know
my
all
guests.
about you.
Yes, don't sing. It's going to cost me royalties.
Okay.
This is the point I like to talk to my guests about their lives, their careers. If I may do just a quickie life interview for you.
I'm down for a quickie.
Yes. Where were you born?
I was born in Kissimmee, Florida, because there was no hospital in St. Cloud.
Wow.
At that time, back in 1987.
Wow. So you are a Florida boy, born and raised.
Yep. I'm what they
local.
call a Florida cracker. And that's not a derogatory term. It means cracking the whip.
So
which I don't know how to do.
how you so how so have you ever lived anywhere other than Central Florida?
Nope.
Wow.
Yep.
So normally I would sort of skip ahead and say, did you perform at all when you were a kid, and then what took you to where you studied? But you were actually working professionally as a child.
I did. I was in a lot of plays, in school, and sometimes in school I didn't even go
The St.
to.
Cloud Light Opera Company, I believe. Yes. Yes.
No. I did plays at the Osceola Center for the Arts.
Oh, yes. And they still do wonderful work.
They do.
For a community theater.
It's,
They do
I love their little
top
stage. It's
level
got like the
work.
big stage, and then they got two little side stages
Yeah.
to do little scenes here and there, so enough to keep changing the set.
Yeah. My high school had that. So I'm like, I love
those two
Osceola.
little mini stages.
It's a great place.
Yeah, I did a few plays there.
Help me, because there are so many, like many of my guests, I have little snippets and nuggets of things I know about you. Am I correct that you did film work when you were young?
I did. When I was 12, I want to say, I did a independent film called Dunsmore. It was on Netflix for a stint. Now you can probably find it on Amazon or something. It was filmed all around Florida. Casadega, Mount Verde, Kasha.
You also, I know there's other stuff that you did.
I did a Muppet movie.
I know you did a Muppet movie also, but before we get to that, so how did you get into being a performer as a kid? Just through
I watched
the community
Jim
theater?
Carrey in The Mask.
Oh,
That was the bug. That's where I got the bug. I saw Jim Carrey in The Mask, and I'm like, I want to do that.
and that's what got you. You
That's
said
what
I'm
got
going
me
to the
in.
community theater, and that's where you cut your teeth.
That's where I cut my teeth. Was
Okay.
in school plays, community theater. I did some talent shows here and there. Yeah.
So tell us all about the Muppet movie.
Oh,
that
the
you
Muppet
did.
movie. This was right after Dunsmore, and I was just a glorified extra. Basically, I was in one of the final scenes was a classroom scene. The movie takes place before he met Miss Piggy.
Oh, okay.
He's still in the swamp.
And what's it called?
It's called Kermit's Swamp Years.
Okay. And it was a feature film
It
release?
was it was a direct to DVD.
DVD.
Direct to video.
DTV, yeah.
Because I had both the DVD and the VHS.
Yeah.
And so basically, this takes place years before he met Miss Piggy. He's still a youngin', and his friends get kidnapped by a high school biology teacher.
Oh, to dissect
Yep.
him. No.
Yep. And so he goes up to
Kermit.
rescue them. I was on one of the very final scenes. I was in the classroom scene.
So did you go to school? Did you study theater and
I
performance
did.
at all?
I went to a school called John Casablanca's Modeling and Career Center
Okay.
when I was 12. And
Is it affiliated with Barbizon?
It was.
Was
I
it?
think so. That sounds familiar.
That was a joke, but that was the
sounds
thing.
familiar.
Advertised in the Northeast was the Barbizon School of Modeling.
It was a modeling, and they just started teaching acting.
So maybe it was an offshoot.
And I think it probably was an offshoot. It was in Longwood.
okay.
and,
which is
uh,
north of Orlando.
yes.
Kissimmee St. Cloud is south of Orlando.
Yes, we're southwest of Orlando.
Yeah.
So I went there. It was 20 weeks. Mm-hmm. And my instructor was David Whitaker. And so when he came back for our graduation, he had our diplomas, and they're just printed out on a little, MS Paint. And
MS Paint.
so he goes, and this one's to James Moore, and I'm like, it's JW. He's like, all right. And then David goes, you really shouldn't correct him. I'm like, but that's my name.
Yeah.
My
no-
legal name is James.
Right, but why the J? That's a good next question we ask you. Why the JW?
Okay, so my dad's name is James.
Oh.
But he's James Preston, and I'm James William. So I'm not a junior, so to save on confusion, they call me JW.
And you didn't want to be Jimmy Joe or something?
I don't like Jimmy. I don't like Jim. I don't like James.
Jamie.
Nope.
No.
Nope. It's either JW, JW, or W.
Janie Jump.
No, James William. So
We're both 30.
definitely don't call me Jim Bill, because that you will
Jim
get
Bill.
You will get punched in the taint.
We're both. I say Janie Jump because we're both 30 Rock fans. We love that.
To go to
and then then you just, because you're here, you're just like, oh look, there are theme parks and chances to
Right,
perform.
exactly. I mean,
you
I started
auditioned.
I auditioned for Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, and I got in. But yeah, my first role was I was an undergoon at the Jurassic Park streets. I was basically in a big ghillie suit.
Wow.
I was a bush. I had a T-shirt made that said it had undergoon, and it had a silhouette of me, and on the back it said "Fear the Bush."
Jesus.
So I did Macy's. I did
Okay.
Mardi Gras.
Okay,
And
so
then
like
I'm
kind
like-
of as a more of a character performer
Yeah,
type of
I
thing.
was Macy's. I was a banana.
So you've pretty much just been steadily working
I
at
was just
different
doing-
theme
I was
parks
just
and
doing,
attractions. You've just been auditioning
Yeah,
and booking and working.
after
as
I
you...
did after I did the parades, I decided to get something full time there, and I worked at Jaws for a while. I worked
yes.
at Earthquake for a while, and then I was there for the changeover to Disaster.
Yep. Then I came in, and that's
where we met.
our paths first crossed.
Was at
the
Disaster.
Now defunct Disaster.
May it rest in pieces.
Yeah, it's now the Fast and Furious ride.
Yes,
yeah.
it's because that's a big step up right there.
I so wish one of the sequels would be called Faster and Furious.
Faster and Furiouser.
Yeah.
But no,
That's my dream. And then the
the
next one
ride-
could be Fasterer and Furiouser.
the road.
No one asked me though. They don't come to me for my opinions.
And I got a job here at Sleuths.
Sleuth's Mystery Dinner Theater.
I got a job here at Sleuths. I was doing one show every month.
Like many of us, yes.
Because I only knew one show, and then I would gradually learn more and more shows. And I also got a job at Disney, and I've been there ever since
As a substitute.
as a substitute
Yeah.
at the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor
Yes.
and Turtle Talk with Crush.
yeah,
So
because
I'm
they
friends with them there.
Yeah, and you are one of the many people here in Central Florida who, welcome to the gig economy. you work shifts when you can get them, but you do not have full-time employment at any one place.
I don't
You
have a
just
contract.
Do little bits and pieces.
I don't even
here
know what a
and there.
contract looks like.
You cobble together a living.
But
how long have you been at Sleuths?
I've been at Sleuths since 2013.
Wow.
And same thing with Disney. And I started here with one role in one show.
Yeah.
And now I know 29 different shows in 12 shows.
29 roles?
29 roles in 12 shows.
Wow.
I don't know 2 of the shows we do here.
I think my number is close to that.
Yeah.
But I've been here 22 now, about to be 23 years this fall.
Every time I would learn a new role and I do my first show, I'm like, okay, what else you got? What else
Yep.
you need?
Yeah.
I got
That's
all the
what you
scripts at
do.
home. What
Yeah.
else you need?
That's absolutely. It's what you
I'm
do.
I'm learning my 30th role here soon in my
jeez.
13th show.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, we still get to work together at the
do.
Sleuth's Mystery
We're
Dinner
doing that
Theater.
here tonight.
While we are here recording and all that. But I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're on the show.
Yes.
And it's always fun when we get to work together.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to get back to the horrible crisis
Oh, my goodness.
in which Mrs. Garrett has found herself. That which is one of the 3 stories we still have
Yes.
to watch
Plot 1 of 3.
magically collide with everything. So we come back from commercial and they are in the kitchen. A little bit later, the same day.
Yeah.
Mrs. Garrett is
As
still...
far as we know.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. Yeah, he didn't leave them overnight. Mrs. Garrett is determined to show them a good time, and Tootie offers to take them in town to sightsee and maybe go do some souvenir shopping.
Yeah.
Because, Peekskill, that's a tourist town. Oh, and there is an earlier thing.
Where the mother wants
Oh,
to
no,
go-
this is coming up soon when they say we're going to take you somewhere. And she hands him a map, and it's a map of Disneyland.
in California.
In
Granted,
California,
They're
yeah.
in
Peekskill, New York.
New York.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so
And
they're like-
Disney World has not opened yet. No, it has. It has. Yeah, it has opened
And
yet.
Epcot.
Epcot.
There were 2 whole parks
That's
in
right.
Florida. Wow.
Soon to be 3.
Yep, that's right. Hollywood Studios would
Couple
be in
more- a few more
89.
years, yeah.
That's true. I'm sorry, Disney MGM Studios.
That's right. The Disney MGM Studios. May it rest in peace.
Joe comes downstairs, and
Yeah.
she is pissed because that squirrel chewed up her best bike glove. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so this
But
squirrel
now they're
is...
fingerless gloves.
Huh?
Now they're fingerless gloves.
And what would you use those for? But it's like, it's the same thing of like, where the fuck is this squirrel?
Yeah.
This squirrel is a master
Right.
of obfuscation of
There's-
I'm in the room, but you don't
Squirrels
see
don't
me.
hide.
No!
They don't. Mice hide.
Exactly. That's
Mice
not,
hide. Squirrels. You know when a squirrel is loose in your place
Yeah. It's
because they are not subtle.
No, they're very, very high strung, tightly wound
Right.
animals.
What are we talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh,
Facts of life.
We're talking about these 3 fucking French assholes
Yes.
who are there at the place. And
Pieces of
here's my-
merde.
Of the many questions I have, did French people not learn English? Some English? Am I not crazy?
He knew
that-
some English. He knew the word yes.
But no. Something, even if you lose it a little bit,
Yeah.
the idea is that France and England are so close and intertwined. Every student in English school learns French, and I
every
believe vice
European
versa.
country they have to learn English, because I had friends from Germany, and they were taught English in elementary school.
And they speak it better than we do.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
Like they're like most Europeans are
I
bilingual.
thought so too. I feel
It's
like
just,
that too.
over here on this side of the world, they don't teach that. Like in South America, North America, Canada, they teach
French.
French.
Same again.
And,
Yeah. Anyhow, they bring them some tea and cookies to hold them over to dinner. Mrs. Garrett tries to make the best of it, and
they never even ate the cookies.
no, God, they never drink the drinks either.
No.
Yeah, and Natalie is told by Tootie, "You will be coming with us because we're going to have you carry the packages."
Yes.
This seems like just another thing, but this actually plays into the plot.
Yeah. There's a reason for this madness.
There is. It's all
she
going to
comes
come.
in- she comes into the bedroom.
colliding.
Yeah.
It's going to come colliding together.
So the snap cut to they're done with the tour, the sightseeing.
I will say to you, this show is notorious for long, pregnant pauses at the end of scenes, and
And then
then the
snap
dissolve, and then the beginning of the next scene.
Yeah.
This is a show, they are dissolving. They don't like jump cut, hard cut. That's something they don't do. There are dissolves, but the
Right.
fact is that we are moving quickly from
Oh
thing
yeah,
to
it was
thing.
like where this
Comparatively to most of the other episodes. But we come into the bedroom, and Tootie is leading. Natalie is carrying a whole bunch of packages and boxes.
It looks like a little Cindy Lou from the Grinch 2000 movie.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just like put the thing.
Yeah, stacked up there. And the question, I was like, so what, did they go shopping too? Oh, no. These are the souvenirs of the French people who are downstairs
Yes.
in another room on another floor.
Yes.
Why the fuck did they carry the packages up and into the bedroom of
Because
the
they had
girls?
a quota. They had to suit so many minutes in the bedroom, so many minutes in the cafeteria, so many minutes in the dining room.
Make the set profitable, yeah.
That's right.
But that was illogical when we later discovered, because I was like, okay, well, I guess Tootie
Because then they'd have to bring them all down later. But
Yeah.
there's a reason they had like,
There's-
how can we do this part? So
Yeah.
there's a reason why the packages are brought up there.
Yes. But we didn't get to the other thing. We missed one little.
Oh,
plot
that's
point,
right, Blair.
Is that we were supposed to bridge the language barrier
Yes.
with Blair
With
and
Blair,
her
'cause
French.
she speaks French.
And no sooner does Chef Antoine dump them off, and Mrs. Garrett say, "Thank God we're going to have Blair here
Yes.
to translate." Blair walks in. I'm sick.
Yeah, because she slept with the window
Open window.
Yeah.
Which she was the one that said, "Oh, you don't get sick from being in front of an open window."
Yeah.
And Joe's response was, "Not if you shut it." So, so Blair is in the bedroom, and she's got the humidifier. She's over the steamer trying to feel better, but she's...
I've been there.
But Tootie is still annoying Natalie, and Natalie is not happy about having to carry the packages.
Natalie doesn't want to be a slave anymore.
And she said...
It's almost like slavery is bad.
Yeah. And she said, I didn't like that you made me walk 2 paces behind you. Like,
Yeah.
Tootie's drunk with power here.
Oh, yeah.
Really. But Natalie, in her anger, just the last straw is Tootie says, "Oh, and do some laundry too," and throws a sweater at her. Natalie gets angry. She throws the sweater on the floor and says, "This is crazy. Even Kunta Kinte got more respect."
Yeah. Cue the laugh track. Cue the laugh track.
Okay. Wow. You do know the reference. I'm
Oh, yeah.
assuming.
Roots.
Yeah.
LeVar Burton.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Geordie
like, that is,
LaForge. Reading
like,
Rainbow.
if there's any question about this slavery day correlating or being in any way a reference to the actual institution of slavery
Yes.
in our country, this was the moment where suddenly it was just like, did you really just say that Kunta Kinte,
got
the
more
lead
respect.
character of Roots, a slave in the South, got more respect? It's like, wow.
Yep.
Really?
I audibly
not appropriate
sighed.
for the time, and even less appropriate now.
You could
40 years
hear
later.
my eyes rolling when she said that. And the laugh track. Oh, it was another thing she said that, but it was like, cue the laugh track. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Apparently that was funny.
Yeah. So, Tootie comes back at Natalie with, "But the poor children," which was Natalie's argument for Tootie, "Please buy me" at the first scene. So Natalie's like, "Okay, I'm going to see this through, but then no more."
Yeah.
So Natalie storms out. Tootie looks down, and the sweater is moving.
What could it be?
It's the squirrel, JW.
Yeah, it's the squirrel.
It's come back.
It's finally here on screen.
It's the
We
Anton
never saw
Chekhov.
it. We never saw the squirrel until this moment, and
Yeah.
I think they filmed the squirrel separately.
Oh God, yes. Oh, totally, absolutely.
Because there's no way you could have a squirrel.
No, it's like a
hit
baby.
its mark.
They did a
Yeah.
shoot with that, and then said, "Okay, we're going to intercut this shit." So the squirrel's under the sweater, and in classic sitcom fashion, Tootie grabs the sweater with the squirrel in it.
Yeah.
And then
About to throw it out the window.
starts to throw it out the window, but can't get the window open, and then someone's coming, and it's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And she throws it into one of the boxes that Natalie carried
Well, it was
in.
Joe that came in. She's still trying to hide it from Joe.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. And
Yeah.
so the implication is she's trying to. I'm sorry. You're right. The motivation for that was hiding it from Joe because she knows Joe will basically probably take
Snap
it.
its neck.
And exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
No,
Clara
there's
from the first season
no
of Drawn
doubt.
Together. Just
Yeah, no doubt that squirrel would have been dead meat in Joe's presence. But here's the thing. Tootie is a human being with the gift of speech and free will.
Yes.
And she could have just said, Joe, no, I'm going to go put it outside.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
exactly.
But
No.
no, it's much wackier to put it into a box.
A package. That was
Yeah.
apparently the mother's package.
Yeah, it belonged to, we later find out belonged to the mother, Madame Rousseau. So then there is a sort of sitcom-y exchange of Joe and Tootie back and forthing, and Tootie trying to make sure that she doesn't get near the box.
Yeah, and then Mrs. Garrett comes in. You know, girls, you have to go downstairs.
So Mrs. Garrett comes in and sends them away, and Tootie leaves the box behind.
Oh, she was looking at it like, oh no, there's
Yeah, what am I
something-
going to do?
there's,
Yeah. And now let's also reiterate. At no point does the box move.
Yeah, it doesn't
Does the
move or
box
squeak
not
or.
make a noise.
Yeah.
And, that must be a really solid lid.
Well, she did put the sweater in there too, didn't she? She
I
put
don't
the
think
whole
so.
thing in. Or
Yeah.
She put the whole thing in there.
Yeah, but the thing is, the squirrel could
Would
have just
freaked out.
the squirrel would have been freaking out and would have jumped and would have knocked the lid off. It's
Yeah.
not like it had a locking lid on
No.
it, and then it might have suffocated too. That's another issue. But the thing is,
At least it wasn't crushed to death.
yeah. So then we have the shtick of Tootie being concerned about the box, and is
Yes.
someone going to see it? And,
Oh no!
and Mrs. Garrett basically shoos them out because it's dinner time and it's gonna.
We don't even see them eat.
No.
So we don't know if the boeuf bourguignon was any good.
We don't. But she shoos out Tootie and Joe,
Mm-hmm.
but Blair is left behind. Because part of me was like, why the fuck is she not leaving?
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's right. Blair's
She's
been
got
there.
her face buried in a humidifier.
Yeah, Blair has a towel over her head, so she didn't see anything of this squirrel shenanigans.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett does kind of one last-ditch effort, like, Blair, is there any chance you feel well enough
She starts praying.
to help us out? She starts praying.
She starts praying.
Yeah, and Blair just, sneezes on her, essentially. So...
She's got the coronavirus now.
Yeah. Too soon. So Mrs. Garrett knows she's SOL.
Yes.
So then we move on to the actual dinner. Looks like they finished eating,
And they're drinking empty cups.
drinking empty cups. They're drinking the tea. It's like after dinner. The girls are sitting around looking bored. They are all, the three French people are just sitting there, still stone-faced, not trying to be pleasant, not acting like they're in any way, shape, or form gracious
No.
or grateful that they were given this meal. And the only funny thing is that the mother is wearing a Mickey Mouse
Yes, she's wearing a Mickey
sweatshirt
Mouse
over
sweatshirt.
her existing outfit.
Yes.
So clearly she went out and somehow found one of those in peak skill.
Yes.
Mrs. Garrett tries to move the conversation along. She tries to get Natalie to tell them a story, and she's like, I told them everything. And
They end up using trigger words.
yeah, they end up, and it's just uncomfortable, but by design. They want it to be that.
Right.
And then Blair does come down because she says she needs some milk. Because when you're sick with a head cold,
You need milk.
you need nothing
You
like
need lactose.
dairy to wow. So they introduce her. She shakes the hand of the brother and then sneezes on it. And that's where I put coronavirus in my notes. See right
he's
there.
got it now.
See right there. Once again, too soon. So with all of this, oh, fuck, what are we going to do? Finally, Mrs. Garrett goes, let's look at their souvenirs. Let's let them show
Yes.
us what they bought. Those souvenirs, which they brought back, but you, for some no good reason, put up in your damn bedroom. Go get them.
Because they don't have like a storage closet at this school.
No.
No.
Or they couldn't have just left them on a cafeteria table because certainly they're not serving any students.
Right.
So finally, Chef Antoine comes back. And he walks in, and as we said earlier, we learned that his train broke down twice, so by the time he got into the city, it was already time to turn around and come back.
Yes.
And he comes in, doesn't acknowledge his wife,
Nope.
his brother,
Nope.
his mother,
Nope.
says nothing to them, pays them no never mind. And then he sits at a table over by the serving counter salad bar, completely in a separate place from them.
Right.
It's like, what is... Well, I mean... It's odd directorially, and it just
Donald
reinforces.
and Melania Trump has a stronger relationship with the family.
But the fact that it makes them even that much more of a dick bag. It's like, not even say, so did you guys have a good time? Hey, was the food any good? I mean, it's like not even checking in with them. With, what did you do after I dumped your fucking carcasses off? So he says, what a miserable day. And Mrs. Garrett, with some sense of satisfaction, says, well, you must be famished. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
So
That's his comeuppance.
that's his comeuppance? No.
He doesn't get food.
No. I wanted him to be physically injured because he is a horrible human being. I hope his plane crashed on the way back to France. And that his family survived and he died. There.
Everybody else on the plane survives except for him.
Right. But then, so the sort of the wrapping up of this particular story is Mrs. Garrett says, well, we'll send out for a Big Mac. And he says, don't forget the French fries.
Yes.
It's like,
Cue
oh,
the
because
laugh track.
French. Oh,
Because he's
'cause of
French.
French.
This is before the Freedom Fry debacle.
Yeah. And we're going to send out for a Big Mac. So you going to call Uber Eats or are you going to go to Grubhub or DoorDash? Is that how you're going to, how do you
My
send?
town to go.
Yeah. How do you send out for a Big Mac in 1983?
Right.
Hate to tell you this. In 1983, most Burger Kings didn't even have a drive-through.
Well, especially if they'd be amazing if the Burger Kings had a Big Mac.
What? Oh! Wow.
You
caught me.
lose. You get nothing. Good day, sir.
No, you're right. Big Mac's McDonald's. I'm thinking a Whopper. But the fact is that both McDonald's and Burger King fast food, the drive-through was still a very new concept, and they hadn't all converted. That was happening during the 80s. So we've kind of wrapped up the Blair story because the Blair,
She grabbed like a piece of pie and went back upstairs.
yeah, she did. But no,
hurt.
she stays down there. She stays there.
she just grabbed a
But the
pie.
sort of, I guess, the capper of the Blair in the window story is that she's sick and somehow still able to stay in the room. She's sitting there, but can't speak or talk or translate or even engage in pleasantries. Even did you have a nice trip here? Have they been showing you a good time? I'm sorry, I'm sick. Otherwise, I'd be here helping
I'm
more.
the dumbass that slept with a window open.
Yeah, but it's like nothing. No, nothing at all. And then
So then
the
they bring the
boxes.
packages.
Then the packages come down. Well, they start showing a big coffee table book and
They have a Statue of Liberty.
the Statue of Liberty. And the mother tries to open the box that we know the squirrel is in. And Tootie's like, no, we can't have you. It's like, Tootie, take the box and walk outside.
Yeah.
And let the squirrel out.
Yeah, just you walk out the door that's literally like 20 feet
Jesus
behind you.
Christ,
And
it is
open the lid. And the
so-
squirrel will run towards, it won't run back inside. It will run towards the open nature.
so contrived. And then the squirrel gets out and pandemonium.
It's like the scene from Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, and they intercut shots of the squirrel running around the floor with above the floor shots of them all running around.
Yes.
And Mrs. Garrett, it just ends with all of this chaos, and Mrs. Garrett just standing in the center in the eye of the storm, just. She's just over it and just so
And like
crestfallen.
Marie, she's up on the table motionless.
Yeah.
She just has her
She just stands up there,
Just
yeah.
stands on the top of the table.
Yeah. Well, then we go on to the final scene of the show. And
Gathering up all the flags.
gathering up all the flags, cleaning up, and wow, what a poopy ending. What a very
I'm sure there probably was some squirrel
Going-
feces going around there.
going out with a whimper. As far as the French people are gone, clearly the squirrel has been taken care of, and
Not by Joe.
not by Joe, not taken care of dead. Just somehow it must have gotten out, or maybe it's still living there.
Maybe
Who
it's
knows?
yeah, it lives there.
Yeah.
It's the 201st student.
It got a 13 episode deal.
Yeah.
And anyhow, so now we're in the final scene, the aftermath, as it were. And the weirdest twist in the writing.
Yeah.
Weirdest, because as they're sort of this was a disaster.
As dinner parties go, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. And then Natalie comes in and suddenly everyone starts sort of weighing in like how they could have done better.
Yeah.
And I do not see why this was
No.
there. Natalie says, and I'm quoting, this isn't a quote, Tootie and I could have been more helpful putting aside our differences for one night.
What differences?
You were helpful. Tootie
Right.
took him into town. You carried the packages.
Natalie was trying to talk to them.
Yeah,
boring them to
Natalie.
tears,
Natalie
but
was talking to them when Mrs. Garrett was in the kitchen. Natalie was talking and
about
keeping
what
them,
outfit she likes to wear.
yeah, keeping them engaged boringly. But
Yeah.
the fact is, like, no, they helped out. What is the? I didn't get what this was supposed to achieve, and it's like, well, what about Joe chasing around the squirrel, and then Blair sneezes and she's off the hook, and they all basically say they're sorry how it turned out, but I don't get why that's there.
Yeah.
It's not like that was quickly put in there to lead to the next thing that needs to happen dialogically.
Dialogically?
So that's a word I just invented.
Stamp it.
But then it ends.
Dialogically. David Almeida.
My trademark. And then it ends with Mrs. Garrett just saying, oh, can you imagine what they were thinking? And they'll probably never want to visit the States again. And then she starts to smile a little. And says,
She planned this all along.
oh my God, that would have been great.
Right? If
I
she
would
had
have loved
if
it.
she like shows like a cut to like her outside the windowsill throwing the squirrel
Oh
in.
my God, that would have been genius. That would have been amazing. But then she just says, that squirrel really...
She sabotages the train.
Oh my God, she cuts the brake lines
Cuts
on
the
the
brake
train.
lines on the train.
That would be amazing, like in the movie Clue.
Right.
Holy shit. But then she just says, that squirrel flew out of the box, didn't it? And then someone's like, yeah, it went through the air like Evel Knievel. Then it's like, did you see Marie jump in the chair? Yeah, she flew up like Evel Knievel. And everything is okay,
Yeah.
and they're just laughing. And and then it just
that's it.
fades out, and then we're done. And it's like,
You take the good, you take the bad, you
Yeah.
take them both, and now you have the facts of life.
the thing
facts
is,
of life.
it almost was like, okay, I will give you at the base bottom level, trying to make the best of a situation. Well, what's the best we can walk away from this disaster with? And my thought is, I would rather have seen Mrs. Garrett. This is my rewrite that I'll be sending in the
Okay.
time machine back to the writers. These are my notes. I would have had Mrs. Garrett just say, what a disaster this was. The squirrel, you girls fighting, and all it did was make Chef Antoine uncomfortable and his family, those ungracious, humorless people that we had to entertain all day until he came back. None of them is going to want to ever come to this country again. Good.
Yeah.
That's all I would have needed to hear,
Yeah.
is to have Mrs. Garrett say, well, you know what? If all of this bad stuff means not even so much the family, they're the victims of this,
Yeah.
but it would have been nice if it was, well, if Chef Antoine never comes back, that's a good thing.
Right.
Fuck that guy. That's what I wanted. I wanted the last line to be
Yeah, and
Mrs.
if
Garrett
he
say,
didn't like
fuck
Mrs.
that guy.
If he didn't like Mrs. Garrett to begin with, why did he want to bring his family there?
I just really, really wanted, if not Chef Antoine to get his comeuppance. Like I said, I wanted the squirrel to bite him and give him rabies.
Just come up, run up his pant leg, and
Run
bite
up his
him in the
pant leg and
gonads.
bite his dick off. That's what I wanted. At the very least, I wanted Mrs. Garrett to acknowledge how shittily she had been treated and
Yeah.
the awful position this fucking asshole put her in, and have her say, this was a disaster, and you know what? So be it.
Listen here, you little toad sucker.
Exactly. But to have her be on some level, I mean, she's happy at the end, but to have it be like in the sense of, good, those people didn't deserve a good time.
Yeah.
Those, I tried and I didn't give it to them, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. Girls, this is your lesson for the week. It's a very special episode.
People are shit.
Yeah. If people are ungracious, they have not yet earned your grace.
Yeah.
That's what the message should have, could have been.
Yes.
So, writers, if you would please take note and make those changes, have them on my desk by Monday. JW, we're at the end.
No, I still get you until 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And which is a few hours away. But before we go, I always like to ask my guest
to wake you up.
to to give me the name of a commercial that you loved from your childhood. Any commercial.
Any commercial at all. Crossfire! Don't you remember that? For the Crossfire board
I'm
game?
old. I could be your parent.
Okay.
What is Crossfire?
Crossfire is a board game that's, okay, so it's basically you have a bunch of little ball bearings, and then you have ball bearings that have shapes on them. And then it's basically like air hockey, except you shoot ball bearings at these ball bearings with shapes on them into the goal of the other person. And you have to keep shooting it.
Sounds to me like Hungry Hungry Hippos without the hippos.
It's interesting. Yeah, it wasn't that intense.
We just watched the commercial. That's intense. I'm going to post this on the...
That was the 90s, man.
On the website. It was. And again, I was an adult in the 90s, so that would have been completely off of my radar.
Every time that commercial came on, I would just start saying, Crossfire! You get caught up in the crossfire!
It's
Crossfire!
like... It's like an Aerosmith concert in the form of a toy.
It's such a boring game, but the commercial made it seem that much more interesting. Wow. But they come in on like hoverboards.
Yeah.
And there's like this fight club.
I was going to say, it's like a UFC like cage match.
Right.
They set it up
with
as
a board game.
But it's like, wow, okay.
And oh my goodness, Crossfire, it's stupid, but the commercial made everybody buy it, and it's glorious.
And yeah, when you got the good theme song, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You want that fucking toy. So JW, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so happy we finally got you on the show. We've been trying to do this for a while.
I know.
And I hope you might come back, and hope this was fun for you.
It was fun.
Very good.
I'm
well,
pleased as pickles.
Until that was almost Midwestern. You'd think you're a Southern boy. But until next time, let's go get into you're already in.
I'm
costume.
already in costume. You need to get.
I need to go get in costume because we have to go do a sleuth show now.
Get into that old lady drag.
Go make some money, and until next time, I hope we'll have you back, smooches, and goodbye.
Crossfire.
And there you have it. That was J.W. Moore. I'm going to post a link to his Facebook page in the show notes so you can see. He is at JW the Gamer. Gamer has a Y in there. You see what he did because he's gay and he's a gamer? Yeah. Look at that Facebook page, and there is a video there where you can get to his YouTube page where he gives a tour of his video game room, and it is astounding. And actually, I'm going to post that video also on the website for the show, so you can find it there too. But I thank him very much, and I had a great time, and I look forward to when he's able to come back. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 4, Episode 20, Who's On First? And I'm going to be joined by another very special guest. That's all for now, so thanks so much for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the let's. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/FaceTheFactsPod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.